Hey guys, it's Tatum Drift Walker, and so many of you, especially on TikTok, that are new followers that keep asking me what happened to my son. I don't mind talking about it. It's just really hard. I get really emotional about it. Almost 5 years ago, New Year's Eve of this year will be 5 years ago. He snuck out at 15 to go to a party, and he thought they were his friends. And all his football buddies told him, Joseph, do not go there. They're jealous of you. But Joseph was a lot like me. He loved everybody. You know, I've always told him everybody's shit stinks. It doesn't matter what you got. That's what happens. Well, he was hit in the head and he was left for dead. It was almost 14 hours before we found him. The girl that threw the party, her mom, even called an EMT, and the EMT told her that's a brain injury, called 911, and she didn't. Because it's a small town, my family is very, very well known. And she told them that they would go to jail for underage drinking. But here's the thing. My dad has always said that kids make mistakes. He would have helped them if they would have just come forward. Well, two of them did. And my dad did everything he could to help them, and he did. When we got there after 14 hours, when we found him, they still had not called 911. We had to call 911. My son was laying on an old dirty twin mattress underneath the barn. Their thing was they were going to say that he fell from the barn. They were hoping he would die, and they were going to say that he fell from the barn. But we knew he didn't. And even though to this day the DA's office has to say he fell from the barn, because they won't come forward and tell the truth, because they got this bond, or this pact. The first day they told me my son was brain dead, I didn't believe it. I was bullied every day. He was in Shands in Jacksonville. He was life-flighted. And basically I was told I was selfish to send him to Shepherd's in Atlanta to try to give him a chance. And I asked the neurologist, one of them, I said, do you have children? She said, yeah, I have a daughter. I said, well, you know, you're a piece of shit, because if this was your daughter, it would be different. You know, I don't wish this on my worst enemy, guys. I don't wish anybody to have to go through what we went through to watch my son, that was a football star, a dirt bike rider, a second-degree black belt. He had everything ahead of him. And for him to have to go through this. Sorry, guys. I never gave up. I fought. I had his life support moved to a trach. They told me that it didn't do any good, because he was just always had to have a trach. After he left Shepherd's, the Shepherds told me, Tatum, you need to take him home. He's the kind of kid, if you take him home and he's around everybody he knows, he's going to come out of this. He was in a coma for 6 months. We came home, it wasn't 2 days. He said, Papa. And then he said, Mama. So he come out of it. He got the trach out. They told me, well, he'll be on a feeding tube for the rest of his life. He eats anything he wants. He doesn't have a feeding tube. He doesn't take any pain medicine. The only thing he has is a baclofen pump, and it's under his skin. You can't even tell it. But after 5 years, you know, we've been through so much, all these rehabs. The rehabs would stop, and we'd be in this like limbo. But he is standing. He can walk. But the mom is taking the blame for everything. She's going to court. She did a blind plea of guilty. She's looking at 11 years. And, you know, everybody's saying, Tatum, that's not enough time. Let me tell you something. They won't no time ever be enough. My biggest thing is, she has no remorse. She won't even look at me. Every time that we go to court, I have to relive this. You know, people say, you're not mad, Tatum. You're not mad at God. No, I'm not mad at God. God didn't do this. God saved my son. And then this March marked the year that my dad passed away. My dad was my rock. He was my everything. And when Joseph went through this, my dad was like the biggest Christian I'd ever met. I didn't tell my dad I was coming home. It was 3 days after Joseph was in Shands. And I told my husband, I said, take me home. Take me to my dad. My dad met me in the living room. He didn't know I was coming. But God, I believe this. God told him. And when I walked in the room, he looked at me and said, He said, baby girl, you're doing the right thing, because God's got him. And you know, my dad fought. He fought to live. He had a congestive heart failure. He had a massive heart attack about 12 years before he died. And everything was going good, but he said, they're going to pay Tatum for what they did. And being my family, you know, being well known and everything, it's not always a good thing. But I never gave up, and I never will give up, for the truth to be known. My house has been egged. We've been bullied. We've been, you know, the guy who did it, he told everybody, but he won't admit to it. Now he's saved and he's got baptized. And you know, I tell people, I'm so glad this boy has got saved and he's got baptized. But the thing is, he will never be right with God until he stands up and admits to the DA's office what he did to my son. His mom says, I drag her son on social media. I've only said his name one time, and this was a couple years ago. The only reason I revealed who he was is because he done something else to somebody. And I thought to myself, if I don't mention who this guy is, how can I live with myself if he kills somebody? My son, he loved everybody. He didn't care where you came from. And that's the way I was always taught, because my mama, as her saying was, she was raised poor as house shit. They didn't have running water in the house. They didn't have nothing. Every one of her brothers and sisters became somebody. And it wasn't about the money. They worked their ass off to become who they were. But my dad, he prayed every day to the day he died. He prayed that this boy would come forward. I miss him every day. He was my hero. And people ask me, a lot of people don't know, I adopted Joseph. I married the guy so I could adopt Joseph. I didn't love him. He was an alcoholic. He still is. He don't really have anything to do with Joseph. I haven't talked about that. I don't talk about that. Y'all will hear that in my biography that's going to be released, and y'all will hear all about that. His mom, God rest her soul, she passed away, and his dad, and they were good people. She tried to make him be a parent. My husband stepped up to the plate, and he done something. I remember standing in the hospital at Shands. I will share this with you. He looked at me. He said, are you going to wipe his ass? My husband sat in front of me. He said, I will. I didn't understand then, you know, not being able to have children. I was born without a uterus, without a cervix. A lot of people don't know that. I will share that in my autobiography. But when he done that, I loved him more than I'd ever loved him that day. And that's hard, because my husband is a great man. He's loved me since I was 14 years old. And it broke my heart, because I thought, how can you say that about your own flesh and blood? You know, but everybody's different, you know. But and people's like, Tatum, you've been through so much and you don't show it. I don't show it to the world because I hold it. But don't think I don't suffer. Don't think I don't hurt. I grieve for my daddy almost every day. I was an only child. He was 37 when I was born. And when I tell y'all I have the two best parents that any kid could ever ask for, I'm not lying. My mama come from a poor family. She worked 40 years at the same job. Since I was 4 years old, she has pursued every dream that I could ever want. She's the one that put me through dance, baton, singing, acting, modeling, pageants. And I know people say, and like one of my best friends, Jamie, she told me, but Tatum, you're the one that done that. You're the one that had the talent. I understand that, but I was born with a daggone platinum spoon in my mouth. I understand that. Like, I brag on all my friends, you know, they've overcome so much and they've become what they need to become. And I know I had talent, but I couldn't have done it without my parents. When I tell y'all, I had two of the best parents you could ever ask for. They were married for 52 years when my dad died. They were role models. They're great. My mom will be 80 this year. If it weren't for her, I couldn't do what I do for Joseph. She has been there for me through thick and thin, and I love that woman more than anything in this world. And my daddy, he taught me to love my family, be loyal, and love Jesus Christ. Couldn't ask for nothing. And animals, he's given me my whole world. But I don't want to get no more emotional. But what I want to say is thank you all for following our story, for loving us unconditionally, and for understanding, and the motivational speaking that I will be making. Joseph, if we're close, he is going to come. When he gets to where he said, and he promised me, he said, Mama, when I get to where I can walk better, I will come with you. It's just really hard for him right now. But if I can help one kid understand to listen to their parents, that right there means everything to me. But for all you supporters and all of y'all that follow our story and follow our family and support us no matter what, I love you guys, and I wish nothing but the best for you and your family. God bless you. I love you, and let's do this. And next week, I will have all my dates out and everything I'm doing, and I just want to thank y'all one time more. Thank you for supporting me and helping me support my family. I couldn't ask for no better. I love you guys. God bless you.